Hey there everybody, it's Mark Crilly. I'm back with another How to Draw video. People have been requesting this one for quite some time. It's how to draw the same character at 3 different ages, as a baby, as a teen, and as a grown-up. And just to give you a little heads up, later on in the video I'm going to be telling you about a chance that you will have to visit a new website. It's called the Life Reimagined Project. You will be among the first people in the world to get a look at this thing. But more on that later. Let's go ahead and zoom in here, and I'm going to show you how to draw the face of a baby. Alright, now I'm going to be covering a huge amount of stuff in this video, and that's why I've given myself a little bit of a head start. But I think you can see how I got to this. This is a circle. You could trace around a cup or something. You know, don't get too hung up on, I can't draw a perfect circle. Go ahead and use something to help you if you need that. And then I've done 2 lines here right across the middle of the circle as guidelines to kind of help me place other facial features. A little tip here, to get the shape here and the size of the lower part of the face right, take a look at the distance between the bottom of the circle and just around here up the forehead. That distance is pretty much replicated down here, maybe a little less than that. So there's a little tip for that. And I'm going to go ahead and start getting the placement of the facial features. You know, every baby's face is going to be different, but it's the placement of the features that is fairly uniform from one face to the other. So notice these 2 lines here for where I'm going to be placing the eyes, where they fit into the circle, the distance they are from one another. You can see that they are considerably closer to the bottom of the circle than they are to the top. There's a certain distance there between the sides, and this distance between them, you have to focus on that as well. And then you can use the bottom of the circle as the perfect resting spot of the nose. Again, I could spend like a whole video just talking on how to draw the individual lines of the nose, but just as a pointer, keep in mind that when you're drawing a baby's nose, the bridge of the nose up here is almost not drawn at all. That's only happens as the person gets older that we start to draw those lines in more clearly. Notice the line for the mouth that I put in here, the distance that it is much closer to the nose than to the chin. And as I looked at photographs of babies' mouths, I noticed that actually a baby's mouth seems to have a different shape from a grown-up's mouth. It's kind of, I think that baby fat is sort of pushing in on the lips and causing the mouth to pucker a little bit. And so you end up with this sort of larger lower lip and sort of pushed in smaller upper lip. And, again, just looking at photographs of babies, that'll help you as in guidance of drawing a baby's mouth. But there can be a second line down here, just below the lower lip. One important thing here is to get the suggestion of a double chin. We all know about, baby fat, and of course that it creates this shape down here, sort of the shape of a letter U almost. That kind of stuff is very important. You don't want your drawing of a baby to just look like a miniature adult. You really have to get the shape of the head right. And I'm going to go ahead and drop in the eyebrows. Notice that they are much closer to the eyes than they are to this line that we drew at the beginning. And also something to keep in mind is that the eyebrows of a baby tend to be very light. They only thicken up later in life, and so you don't want to get too carried away with drawing dark lines when you do the eyebrows of a baby. As for doing the irises themselves, I'm going to just do a light indication of them for now. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of time-lapse in this video, and that's when I'm going to get into doing the details. But in a way, I think it's best for you to think of this as an overview video and not think, oh, this is the way to draw a baby all the time. Oh, no, of course not. Every baby's going to look different, so it's probably best that I don't get too hung up on the details anyway. But let's go ahead and do the ears. Notice that they start near the top of the eyes. They come down to around where the nose is. As a guideline. And I think after I've got that in place, the last thing that I want to do is show you where the hairline goes. It's basically between these 2 points here. Just draw a line there, and that's going to show you where the hairline, begins at the top of the forehead. And beyond that, I think I probably should just go ahead and kick this into time-lapse to finish it off. But I will come back to give you some final pointers once I complete the illustration. Alright, so just going to add a few little final touches here. I wanted to say a word about the shading. Notice how I put quite a lot of shading right in here around the forehead area and down where normally the bridge of the nose would go. I think that's something fairly unique to babies, that this roundness to the forehead, and as I said, the bridge of the nose is almost non-existent, or very minimal. And then also a lot of shading down here by the cheeks will help give that sort of baby face, baby fat kind of look. But let's go ahead and move on to the next drawing, the teenage drawing of the face, and see what changes as we do that. Okay, so again, I've given myself a little head start here. We have that same circle with the two lines. Notice the shape of the face is a lot leaner now. We're not going to have that sort of U shape that we had before. But the mouth, it's fairly consistent, I find, always a little closer to the bottom of the circle than it is to the chin. And again, you're going to have to pay real close attention to the eyes, to the size, and to their placement. They're taking up considerably less space in terms of the inside of that circle than they used to. And of course, as we move to the adult, they grow even smaller. So as a basic rule of thumb, the larger the eyes, the more the character looks like a baby or a child. The smaller they are in proportion to the head, the more grown-up they look. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start adding a little more detail here to the eyes. One thing that I find is with a baby's face, you don't see so much of the upper eyelid. As the person grows older, then you get this second line above each eye to indicate the folding of the eyelid. Notice what happens to the eyebrows this time. They are maybe a little more of a distance away from the eyes, a little closer to that middle line there, that sort of horizontal line that we had. And you're always paying real close attention to the distance between the eye, the width of the eyebrows. You don't want them too wide, not too narrow. And as I always have to say, every face is different, so everyone has different shaped eyebrows and so forth. You can study photographs to figure out the style that you want to use for your character. Notice again the nose will neatly fall at the bottom of this circle, but this time we can start to give it a little more definition, especially in the area of the bridge of the nose, which as I said before, for the baby, you really don't see the bridge of the nose at all. For the teen character, or this might even end up looking a little more like a preteen character, you start to get a little bit of shading in here for revealing the bridge of the nose, but you don't go crazy with that. You can hold off on the really defining the nose for when you draw this character as an adult. I talked quite a bit about the baby's lips and the shape. I noticed from a baby to a teenager, the shape of the lips changes quite a bit. It gets a little more relaxed looking. It doesn't have that scrunched up look. And I really wish I could go into a sort of a line-by-line for everything here, but if you want to, just shout out in the comments section the things that you would like me to go into more detail on in a future video. Like I could do one just on the mouth alone, all this different stuff we could sort of break into its individual components. But just a quick word about the nose. Again, even as the person gets older, you are trying to draw the nose with as few lines as possible. I think if you start delineating every single last line of the nose, the more lines you put in there, the uglier it looks, I find. And the art of it, it seems to me, is sort of suggesting the nose without drawing each and every line or trying to define it too much. Notice we had the baby fat issue last time. This time we definitely do not want to have that for making this look like a teenager. The chin, it becomes part of the exact same line of the rest of the jaw. And so that's one thing. And interestingly, when we go to the grown-up version, we may see that sort of reverse a little bit. So, but I'm going to go ahead and do the ears, the indication of the ears on the side here. Pretty consistent from one face to the other. Starts at the top of the eyes, comes down to around the nose. And the hairline as well, fairly consistent between these two spots, maybe a touch closer to the center horizontal line this time for putting in the hair. And I'm doing my best to make this look like it's the same character. So you're going to see as I go into time-lapse here that I try to make the hairstyle. Does anyone's hair stay exactly the same from from when they're a baby to when they're a grown-up? I don't know. We're going to find out. But I'm going to try to draw this character as if she has the exact same hairstyle. But let's go ahead and kick it into time-lapse. All right, so there you have it. Blew through a lot of stuff there. Sorry about that, but I do want to try to cover all three different faces in this video, and that's why so much of it is going to have to be done in time-lapse. But just quickly to say, you'll notice that, as I said before, the nose is getting more delineated here. You have a little bit of a suggestion of the bridge of the nose. The eyes, I fear I got the eyes off a little, and my apologies there if one of these eyes is slightly lower than the other. Too late now. It's in the video. Oh well. Anyway, we're going to move on to the last part of the video. I'm going to draw the adult version of this same character, and you'll see which lines are most key in adding a bit of age and sort of changing the proportions of the face. Okay, so we're back again with the sort of pre-drawn lines of the circle with the two lines. We've got the shape of the jaw here. And notice, if you compare it to the teenage shape, that we've added a little weight, I guess, to her jaw, and it's coming down, maybe forming a little more of an angle at this age. And if you go back and study the placement of the eyes from the other two, these eyes are smaller in proportion to the rest of the circle. And it seems to me that they are a little closer to that middle line there compared to the other two. And let's go ahead and start adding some definition to things here. I'll start with the eyes. As I said, they seem to be sort of, and this may be just artists' shorthand, the eyes are a little more like half-closed. I think that maybe sort of conveys this feeling of age. You know, some of this stuff, it's like I'm trying to do this realistically. At the same time, I'm kind of doing like artists' traditional techniques of making someone look older versus maybe strictly realistic differences between the two. I mean, in reality, the difference between a teenage face and, say, early middle age, those differences can be quite subtle. And the artist's job, I think, is maybe to exaggerate things a little bit to make it extra clear. So let's go ahead and do the eyebrows. This time the eyebrows are very close, I'm finding, to that horizontal line compared to what we had before. I think what happens is that the forehead, you know, as you saw as a baby, the forehead is a very large part of the face, and as your character gets older, the forehead increasingly becomes proportionally smaller, and that's sort of like a signal to the viewer that you are drawing an older character. I'm going to go ahead and drop in the irises. Of course, scientifically, they tell you that the eye, the actual eyeball, is the one part of the face that does not change at all, right? And that's why babies have seemingly large eyes. The head is physically smaller, but the actual iris if I'm not mistaken, is precisely the same size over the span of your life. Let's go ahead and draw the nose here. We're going to get considerably more definition. I find that that's one of the key things in conveying age, and based on reality, as you get older, your nose gets more defined. More and more, and so the artist, of course, your job is to go ahead and get those lines in there, not be so shy about sort of suggesting the nose, but go ahead and draw it in there. Of course, I'm being a little bit cautious because you want to make sure you get all these lines in just the right place, get the width of the bridge of the nose, and I can kind of finalize this stuff later. This lesson here may be a little different from the other two in that some of the key lines that reveal the age don't really come in until the end of the process. So I may have to sort of zoom through things and then come back to show you what are, for me, the two most key lines for making this woman look middle-aged rather than just, say, in her 20s. But I think you can see a certain angularity coming into the face as we make this character look older, or try to. And so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to drop in the ears. That remains pretty consistent from one age to the other, the location of the ears. And let's do one final thing, get in that line of the hair coming in, again, right around between these two lines here. And then, let me zoom through most of this in time-lapse, but I'm really not done with this in terms of showing the age of this character. I'm going to come back at the end to show you a couple of key lines that will really finish it off in terms of showing how old she is. All right, so as I promised, we're going to try to age this character further. I would say even at this stage, she looks like she's well into her 20s, noticeably older than the teenage version that we did before. But here's one of the keys. I think if we define the chin just a little bit more, I see cartoonists doing this a lot, just a hint of definition on the chin can go a long way towards aging your character. And, of course, wrinkles around the eyes are going to add some age, but you don't want to go, extreme with that. It's easy to get carried away. I would say just one or two slight indications of wrinkles around the eyes, the classic crow's feet. You add just a little bit of that on the sides, and your character will immediately begin to look more like a motherly character, let's say. So there you go. There's my advice on how to, or how to see the differences, I think you would have to say with this video, to see the differences between these different age groups. And then maybe in the future I can do a how-to video for each one of these and really take it step by step, line by line, and show you how to do it. Well, let's go ahead and pull things back and have some final words before I wind this video down. All right, well, there you have it, my video showing the same character at 3 different points in her life. I hope you enjoyed that. And I want to tell you quickly about this website, lifereimaginedproject.org. It was put together by the AARP. I think it's a really cool idea for a website. What they're trying to do is create a space where mentors can come together with people who are looking for mentors. And it doesn't have to be just art. It could be almost any kind of skill that you're looking to acquire. Young people looking for mentors, also people more like my age in life. They want to acquire a new skill, or they want to get to that thing that they had always wanted to, but they never had time for it. And this website may help these people come together and share information. So go ahead and check that out. You would be among the first people in the world to see it, and I'm sure that they would love to get your feedback on it. But for now, I want to wind down my video the way I always do by thanking people who have bought my books, Miki Falls, the graphic novel series, as well as Brody's Ghost, this new one, Scholastic edition available at book fairs right now. Very excited about that. But let's go ahead and lay down the pencil, as I always do. I want to thank you for watching my videos, for subscribing, for leaving comments. I really do appreciate your support. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll be back with another one real soon.